In many ways, there has never been a better time to be an indie developer. Digital distribution has made it easier than ever before to get your game out there. And although on places like Steam, the bloated amount of crap on the store can make it hard for the good stuff to actually be seen, games like Rivals of Aether, Owlboy, Undertale, and more have proven that sometimes the cream can rise to the top. Even on a channel as small as mine, my email inbox is constantly flooded by indie developers wanting me to review their games. And although I browse these from time to time, I've never before stopped to accept an offer until now. And that's mainly because this isn't just another Steam game. No, the developer of Warriors of the Crystal, Daniel Flanagan, has instead made a physical trading card game themed around the style and tropes of capital C classic Final Fantasy games. To me, that's interesting. So I said yes, thinking that even if the game turned out to be bad, I would still have a curiosity to hang on my shelf. I, however, did not expect to go so far as to spend months thinking about this game, and then to go on to make a second order on my own dime just to get the remaining cards that I was missing so that I could fully experience what this game had to offer. This video is going to amount to be what I hope to be the strangest recommendation in my life, because there are a shocking amount of hoops that you have to jump through in order to get into this game. I struggled for a long time with this script on exactly how to say this, but I guess I'm going to end up recommending this game to people who A. already like card games, B. have a fondness for the style of classic Final Fantasy games, C. be willing to put up with the slow and expensive crafting and ordering process in order to actually receive the game, D. be willing to forgive rules which contain oversights and inconsistent wording, E. find amateurish presentation and art appealing, and F. be willing to look past an outrageous number of typos and incorrectly printed information. Talk about niche within a niche within a niche, but the most shocking thing of all is that somehow me and my friend both fall into that group. At its core, Warriors of the Crystal seeks to make a player versus player card battling game modeled after the job system of Square's earliest works, right down to using the total mismatch of East meets West fighters, placing Western classics like knights and mages right next to ninjas and monks from the Far East. As far as rules go, this might be the most straightforward card game I've ever played in my life. After making a deck with at least 40 cards, 2 or more players choose 2 units to make a starting party with, who can then, on their turns, use the equivalent of item cards or trap cards to set things up, and then attack the other players using either basic attacks from their units or spending a secondary mana resource in order to have their units use stronger combat cards. With there only being a total of 4 types of cards in the game, with each one having a definite place in the battle where they can be used, with only the trap-like ambush cards coming up when it isn't your turn, this is a very simple card game to learn. Similarly to how the simplicity of the Final Fantasy games themselves made them very easy for new players to JRPGs to get into. The rules, as written for this game, are very straightforward, but there is a lot of trouble when we get down to the details. In order to fully test out this game, I brought along my buddy Sid, who some of you may already be familiar with if you follow my gameplay channel. But while Sid and I both play a lot of games, he is way more knowledgeable about card games than I am. He's basically a walking encyclopedia of any card in Magic the Gathering's long history, as well as being an extremely proficient Hearthstone player. In fact, you can even watch him getting gold in all heroes of Hearthstone in one night in this video I made last year. Naturally, I thought it would be good to bring him in on this, and after playing a few games and a number of different nights throughout the winter, we sat down to have a long conversation about this game. While the conversation itself quickly bloated to be too long for this video, I'm going to be uploading a slightly edited version of it over on my second channel, while just using clips of it for this video. To paraphrase our general thoughts on the game,
it is... I really like it.
Me too, right?
As I mentioned, there are a lot of hoops that you're going to have to get past in order to start loving this game like we have. But strangely, the most forgivable problem is the rules. There are a lot of big issues here, such as the rate of consumption of mana and the lack of a late game recovery mechanic, but the biggest issue we found was the extremely heavy emphasis on discarding cards without the game having a counterbalancing effect.
That sort of leads into our next point. A lot of the creatures, a lot of the cards have abilities that ask you to discard other cards. Sometimes 2 cards or more. And
I got 5 more damage this turn.
yeah, and I discarded my hand.
Yes.
Keep in mind that when you have to spend a card, which then requires you to discard another card in order to boost a later card that you're going to have to spend, you're actually losing a whole lot of opportunities. Not to mention that the original card that you used can no longer be used for other cards' discard effects. For a game that only starts you out with 5 cards and only allows you to draw 1 card per turn, this is a horrible system. This brings me to the strange conundrum of this game and why I titled this video as I did. In a digital card game environment, this game would be doomed by such a poorly managed mechanic. But this is a physical card game. It's just me and my buddy sitting at a table with some beers. There is no force in the universe other than just a bit of text printed on paper to keep us from fixing any of these issues on our own. If we wanted to, we could make it so that we draw twice each turn to counter the overabundance of discarding, as well as thinking up solutions to other issues, such as this game actually having no penalty to the player who goes first, which we both felt was a bit of a shocking oversight for something which is standard in every single other card game.
Flip them up. Do you draw on your first turn?
There was no specific rules for the person who goes first.
Okay.
There's no handicap rules. So,
Okay. Yes, I remember
what do you
that.
think?
We do draw.
Okay.
Again, this is a strange recommendation that I'm making. For as much as we found the oversights in the rules of this game to be extremely frustrating, both Sid and myself desperately want to continue playing this game.
These tokens are great too.
Laser cut.
Laser cut.
They smell nice.
Do they?
Well, initially.
They have burn marks on the
They,
edges.
they
of each
smell
one.
sort of sulfury and they got burn marks, yeah.
Warriors of the Crystal, like many other indie games across various platforms, requires its players to be willing to look past many of its blemishes in order to see the true value at its core. And in this case, for many players, there could just be too many factors to look past here. For us, as soon as we actually sat down with the game, we both could feel that there was really something special here. Even with all of its problems, there's just something overtly charming about seeing a dream this big and outrageous actually become a physical product at the end of the day. I'm sure that many people can relate to the act of trying to turn their own dreams into something real, but either being too technically unskilled or inexperienced to make it come out just right. I know that I've certainly felt that way, and hell, my own YouTube channel was built on the desire to just get my voice out there and to learn the rest by doing. Unless you're completely without empathy, I imagine that a lot of people watching me right now can think back on moments in their own lives where they may have tried and failed at a task that they were extremely passionate about. There is a value to such a product. As Sid and I both said in our discussion, it would definitely be a shame if this is as far as this one gets. If anything that was said in this video has intrigued you whatsoever, I want to let you know that I'm going to be uploading some full gameplay videos alongside our full discussion over on my second channel as well. Maybe after checking those out, you can think about taking the plunge on a project which is so full of heart and so full of raw, flawed humanity that the passion and love behind its creation can be tangibly felt in every last detail.
Okay.
Well, that's my thoughts for now.
Gonna play some more in the future.